So we went to the recruiting office, and the day we were going to be enlisted, we had tests. My friend didn't pass the test. He failed the test, and I had to go along by myself. So we got on the bus to go to San Diego. That's where I went to boot camp. And people were so nice to us when we were in Los Angeles and we were putting us on the bus. They were very nice. As soon as we arrived in San Diego, there was all kind of MFs. Okay, all you MFs, get off the bus. Come on. We were treated like animals. I mean, I had never heard so many curse words in my life. And we were all afraid. We were all the same age, 18, 19, 20 years old, and it was like a nightmare. And the first days they were handing out uniforms and whatever. And that night we went to bed, you could hear people crying. You could hear all of the kids crying. Everybody was crying, Mama, oh, I want to go home. So anyway, that turned out, the boot camp turned out quite well. I mean, I began to get used to it.
Where did they, after boot camp, where were you?
Well, after boot camp, I was assigned to the USS Hancock. It was an aircraft carrier that was based at Hunters Point. It was in dry docks. So we stayed in dry docks for 1 year, refurbishing what do you call it, redecorated, not redecorated, but they were building it up again.
Okay. So you were on Parcel E at Hunters Point.
Yes, and
radiation is now.
Well, that's where it is now. Well, this was quite a while ago, but I had the friend who didn't make it with me had a brother living in San Francisco at the time, and I used to stay with him, and just go to Hunters Point in the morning, like going to a job. Mm-hmm. So that was like a year.
That's not the McAllister Street address.
No, it was Haight.
Okay.
It was Haight, right up in the Haight.
So you lived in the Haight?
Yes.
What year was this?
This was 60, no, what am I saying, 60? It was 58.
So before all of the flower.
Oh, yeah, before all that. But the McAllister was, later on, my mother lived there. But I had relatives living in Oakland, too, at the time. So I used to go back and forth to Oakland and to Hunters Point. And then finally, after the ship was completed, we pulled over to, I don't remember, it's Oakland Naval Base or something like
Alameda.
that? Alameda.
Yeah.
Where we stayed another couple of months, preparing, because we went on a cruise to Hawaii, Japan, Hong Kong, and for 6 months I did a tour like that. And
what was that like? Because you have, now it's you and brothers and sisters.
I have two sisters.
You have two sisters,
yeah.
And then it was all LA until you got.
Until I joined the Navy.
So what was it like to see Hawaii?
Oh, it was wonderful. And Japan too, and Hong Kong. It was just a magic. I mean, it was like a dream. That's why I joined the Navy. And after finally we returned to California, I was transferred to San Diego, where I went to school there to dance. I started taking dance classes.
You started dancing in San Diego.
Well, I had already taken a little dancing in Los Angeles, but my family, they weren't really keen on that. They didn't really like the idea. But so I would sneak dance classes and things like that in Los Angeles. But finally, when I was in the Navy on my own, making my own money, because you work like an office. You go to work and you go home at night. So I used to go to a night school and dance classes and things like that. Mm. So.
Let me just pause for a minute.
Okay.
I want to.
So, you were talking about San Diego. Mm-hmm. And taking dance class there, and then you had mentioned you couldn't do it when you were growing up. Family didn't like you to dance. Why don't you tell me about that?
Okay. Well, my mother and my mother's mother and my grandmother and grandfather, maternally, had 14 children, 7 boys and 7 girls. So I was raised. And my grandfather was very religious, church every day. My grandmother couldn't wear makeup, or she couldn't do anything like that. So she was very strict. And when my grandfather died, it seems that everybody went to pieces. Everybody was like, free at last. And they went crazy. My grandmother, we used to live across the streets from the movie theater that I loved. I used to go to the cinema every day if I could. We used to have to go and get my grandmother out of there. She'd be sleeping because she would stay all day. She wasn't allowed to go before. And when my grandfather, after he died, she was in the cinema every day, sleeping. So they said, go and get your grandmother and wake her up. So anyway, my whole childhood was mostly women because the men were away in the army or whatever. But I was raised by the women, all my aunts, and my mother and my sisters. So anyway, they were a little afraid that I might get a little, so the dance would be out of the question.
They wanted you to play football.
Yeah, well, that kind of thing, yeah. But they used to all take me out and dress me up and do things. My aunts always wanted to go out with me, to take me to dance with them or make me look a little older, or because that was a lot of fun. They used to like to dance with me and play with me. And so anyway, I felt like I escaped when I left my family. My mother said, well, not my mother, but a lot of my uncles and my aunt, they said, oh, Benny, he's going to join the Navy? Ha, 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 that's a laugh. I don't believe it. We have to see this. I said, I'll show you. But my mother had been divorced from my father since I was 5 years old, so she had raised me with my sisters by herself. She had a couple of boyfriends here and there. But one day she brought this man back to the house. And I came out of school and he was sitting in my chair watching TV and telling me to be quiet. I was like, no way. And I told my mother, I said, look, it's either him or me. And my mother, of course, she laughed. But so I joined the Navy. And and after I never went back. I never lived at home again since then. So anyway, after I went on.
So you did you have any bitterness?
Oh no.
When you went to the Navy, you were angry.
Yeah, I was angry with my mother because she betrayed me.
But then after you saw Hawaii.
Well, but I wasn't angry with them because my mother and my stepfather came to my graduation from a boot camp. Mm-hmm. They came to support me and everything, and they loved me and everything. So I just grew up. Yeah. I had to grow up. Yeah. So, because I was very jealous of my mother. I used to hang on to my mother. If she didn't come home at the right time, I'd be out in the streets looking for her. Oh, God. Yeah, I was really terrible. So that gave me a break. I mean, I grew up. Mm-hmm. And so I was on this aircraft carrier, and I worked for the captain of the ship, so I had a good position. I was a yeoman working on the aircraft carrier. So anyway, I came out of the Navy in 1960, 21 years old, because you get out on your birthday. So it was a kiddie cruise.
March the 4th.
Yes. And it was in my kiddie cruise. So I went to Los Angeles, where everybody lived. I got an apartment and started looking for jobs.
As a dancer?
Well, no, because I was just taking classes, okay. But I was never a professional then, Oh, okay. I was just taking dance classes. And, forgot to say that. Well, while I was in the Navy in San Diego taking these dance classes, I did a musical. In the Balboa Park, it's called. It was outdoor theater, and guess what the production was? Carmen Jones. I danced in Carmen Jones.
Wow, back dancer, were you a lead dancer?
No, I was just in the chorus. Uh-huh. But it was like, I wasn't professional at all, but the the dance classes I was taking, they chose me to do this in the park, this outdoor. It lasted a month.
Oh, wow.
So all my friends from the Navy used to come to see me. And that was the first time I had been on a professional stage, really.
What was their reaction to your dancing?
Oh, everybody was supportive, people
didn't give you grief.
No, and the guy, and my chief, he was always supportive. He let me go certain hours earlier to go to rehearsals and everything. So that was my first experience, really on stage. So then, when I got to Hollywood, that's where I moved. Guess where I worked? Fredericks of Hollywood. In the mailroom.
In the mailroom. Oh, you didn't sell the lingerie and the wigs.
No, well, I was selling them, but they used catalogs, you know, and then I used to be a typist and stuff like that, worked in the office, in the mailroom. And I worked there for like 8 months, I guess.
So were you auditioning?
I was
also?
taking dance classes
Okay.
at night, you know, when after work. I would go to regular dance classes and all that. And, you know, I don't know, because I was talented or I don't know what else, but right away people would want me in their companies and things. So I started dancing in little weekend sessions, you know, like, it's not really professional, they're amateurs, but you do gigs on a weekend, you don't get paid, but you maybe have a big dinner or something. So you go out on the, what do you call the banlieue?
On the
Suburbs, and you do a show or you do things like that. And I was doing things like that.
So you never, at that time then, you never really had to audition for a
No.
part. You just
on
your merit.
Yeah, from the class, somebody see you and ask you, would you like to do this, or, you know, like that.
So was it on your mind then that you might want to audition and start?
Oh, but this has always been on my mind. You know, I always wanted to be on stage since I can remember. That was my dream. I used to pray and say, oh, just give me a chance. Let me be on stage.
So as a kid, this is
Yeah,
what you
this has
wanted.
been my whole, when I was in school, I told you I used to ditch and go to television shows and watch them, how they were filming it and all that. I used to do that all the time. I was living in Hollywood. I was born to be a star.
You had to put your name on the Walk of Fame.
Yes, I thought about that. So I was taking these dance classes and doing these things on weekends. And this friend of mine, Victor Upshaw, he was a choreographer and a very young choreographer. He was probably not even 21 then. He was probably like 19. But he was up and coming in Los Angeles. So he said to me one day, he said, would you like to go to Paris? I said, hey, what?
So let me think about it.
He said, they're having an audition. Well, they asked me to find 6 male dancers, black, to go to Paris. And I'm asking you if you would be interested, because they have a closed audition. I'm picking the people that I want to come with me.
Now, how did you meet him? Is this
Just through,
weekend
yeah,
thing
just
you
through,
were doing
yeah,
in a dance class?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, and so I said, of course. So we had audition, closed, just from the people from Paris and the people that he selected. And so they were all right, but then they had to have an open audition for everybody, like all the people in Hollywood. So I went to that, and it was like, 100 people maybe. And I was like, oh, well, forget it. Because they were all professionals, and they had been in Rome, they had been already in New York, and they had been everywhere dancing. We were auditioning in Highland and Hollywood Boulevard, and this big building, and about 100 people were there. And I thought, it was just, because we waited for Guérin, who was the director of the Lido, to come to
arrive in the States or to show up for the audition?
to come into the States to make the final choice.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it would just be the same people that auditioned privately, but it was like 100 when I got there. So they gave us combinations to do, and we auditioned. And then at the end of it, I thought, well, that's the end of me, because all these other people are, professionals, and I will never get it. But they said, you, me, come in the middle of the floor. And I had to go in the middle of the floor and say, drop your pants. And that's when I said, oh my God. And I dropped my pants and said, Da 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 da, da 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 da. So I got the part, and we arrived in Paris.
How long after that audition and being selected before you?
Let's see, it was like, we probably auditioned, I had got out of the Navy in March. I worked that whole year. So it was like May of 61, and we left in October.
Okay.
And just before that, it was very strange because I auditioned for Cleopatra. The whole company that I was dancing with, this dance group, they had us come in and audition to be dancers in Cleopatra in Rome. But that fell through. But then I got this, so it was meant to be.
Destiny.
Yeah, so.
So before this, was Paris, I mean, other than you knew you always wanted to go to Paris and visit, did you ever think of working here and living?
I never even thought of visiting Paris. I never thought I would get that far, from California.
Wow.
My dream was New York. That's where I wanted to go. I wanted to be on Broadway. That's what I always thought about. Never about Paris. So we arrived in Paris it was the end of October. I never owned an overcoat. It was so cold when I got here. Probably wasn't as cold as I imagined, because in California I never had a coat.
Yeah.
And arriving here, I fell in love with Paris right away. Everybody else didn't. They were all like, oh, these French people here. And every morning I would get up and just walk places. And
Where were you living? Where you staying?
well, at first we stayed in a hotel, and then we had an apartment on Avenue Foch.
Oh.
But we were 4 living in one room. Well, 2 rooms. And then I met somebody that had an apartment. Myself, we took the apartment. We worked every day, 7 days a week. Every night, 2 shows a night. We got out, we started work at 11, the first show, and we got out of there like 1:30, 2 o'clock. And of course, we were young and we wanted to party. So we used to go to this little restaurant in Montmartre that later became Michoud. You know Michoud?
I don't.
Michoud was a famous, still is, for transvestite, drag shows. And the reason he got this idea, Michoud, was because we turned that place out. We used to go there every night and do the Madison.
Oh, God.
And people started coming there, and he got the idea to do shows there. And then now he's very famous. But anyway, we would stay up all night, go to bed at 6 in the morning, sleep all day, practically, and then get up and go to work. So we tried to go to Alliance Française, but we would sleep through the classes. So we gave that up. And it was also always so gray outside. You wake up in the morning, I would be looking for the sun, would be none. And so the year went like that. It was mostly just like those reviews,
Did you
Las Vegas.
So you did. So it was like a Las Vegas.
Yes, one of those big reviews with lots of plumes and nudity, and so we were half naked most of the time, showing our bodies.
Well, you had to drop your pants.
Yeah, they wanted to see my body, yeah, because it was half of the thing. And the shows, well, how can I say? They were just regular.
They were just like big extravagances.
Big, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, there were things like every night it would be the same song.
For a year, yeah. It was the same show. It's one review for a year, and then they change it again. Every year they change the review. And then the first review becomes the second part. You see what I mean? It rotates, like they get a new one for the first one and put the old one into the second part.
And then just start to filter them out.
Yeah. So we stayed a year, and after that, I don't think they ever hired any black people again.
And you guys must have been great.
I think we turned it out. It was the first time, and I think it was the last time.
So you did that for a year, did the reviews, then you went back.
Well, after that was over, well, I kind of fell in love in Paris.
Yeah.
Just at the end, of course, it always happens at the end. So I had to leave because your contract was for a year, and your visa and your work permit and all that was for a year. You're supposed to leave afterwards. So I went. By this time, my mother was living in Vallejo, California, with her new husband. Well, they had been married already 5 years then. So I didn't want to go back to Los Angeles, so I went to San Francisco, where I had met people when I was in the Navy. And I started working at Kaiser Hospital in the medical records. And as time went on, I saved my money because I didn't have any expenses. I was staying with friends, and in the weekends I would go home to my mother's, do all my laundry, get food to take back.
Get the care package.
Get the care package. And I saved all my money. I didn't spend anything. It was real cheap. I didn't spend anything. And till I made enough money to buy a ticket to come back to Paris.
So you said something interesting. You said you went back to San Francisco and it's like you were done. I thought you wanted to be a star.
I know, but I thought that wasn't really serious. Everybody didn't take it serious. You know, people say, well, you really got to get a job now.
So you feel you had done it?
Yeah.
You liked what you did?
Yeah, but I guess I never really gave it up. But then I said I fallen in love with someone in Paris, and I was coming back for that. Not to be on stage anymore. It was just love and loving Paris and the person. And so I came back, and I had a one-way ticket. In those days, you could get a one-way ticket, and I had $100 probably. But I had
worked how long to save that up so you can?
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay, that wasn't bad.
But what was I going to? Oh, you know how much we made? That's another. The Lido was high time, big time. We made 60 francs a night.
Wow, which is?
With 60 francs a night, I get. How much would 60 francs a night be? In those days, the metro ticket was 60 centimes maybe, and a carnet was 3 francs 50. In francs, that would be like, I don't know, like $3? Not even. No, I think in those days, 5 francs to $1.
Okay.
Something like that.
That was pretty good money.
60 francs a night.
Yeah.
Well, it was the best paid cabaret in Paris at the time.
I mean, if you translated the dollars,
Yeah.
it's about what, the $40?
Yeah, it might have been 50.
Yeah, a night.
Yeah, something like that. And but your rent was nothing. It was 350 francs a month, maybe, which was like $150 or something like. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how much the franc. And so anyway, I came back to Paris. I started taking dance classes again.
No, where are you studying now? Because now you're in Paris.
Yeah, in Paris, and his name was, shit. It'll come back.
It'll come back to you.
And right away, he knew I had no money. He was a black American who had danced with Catherine Dunham to join the ballet company of La Zini. And they were preparing to do the first dance festival at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées in Paris. That was the first dance festival, and I was part of that with this dance company
And what year was that? That's
60. This had to be like 63, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
So you went to Marseille.
Yeah.
You danced with the ballet there in preparation
For the first
this,
dance festival, Théâtre des Champs-Élysées,
Okay.
which only lasted a few performances.
Was that your first trip to Marseille?
Yeah, it was.
Huh?
Which I didn't like. No, I was scared all the time.
Why?
Because it's louche. You know, it's really like, it's scary, Marseille. All these strange looking people, and it reminds me of old movies, you know, when you,
Too mysterious.
Mysterious, gawk, yeah.
Okay, so you're in the ballet.
Yeah, and then this same person that helped, Gene Robinson was his name. When I came back from Marseille and was in the Théâtre Champs-Élysées, he said to me, they're looking for black dancers at the Folies Bergère. So I said, oh, I'll go over. So I went over there and they said, okay, I auditioned and they said, all right, we're paying 42 francs a night. And I said, oh, you're kidding, 42 francs a night? I was making 60 at the... They said, well, that's what we're offering. So I went back to Gene Robinson. I said, how can you imagine? They offered me 42 francs. And he said, and you didn't take it? I had no money. So I said, oh, he has a point there. So I went back and took the job in the Folies Bergère. Well, the Folies Bergère, it's like being in a factory. Really is. You know, it's just a lot of costume changes. And and that's another job where you work 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, and you only get paid once on Sunday. We do 2 shows, but you get paid for 1.
Why?
Because they were cheap, and they could do it, and nobody said anything about it. You know, they let them do it. And there was no unions, there was no protection, it was nothing. They just did what they wanted to do.
So what was your position?
Okay, at the Folies Bergère, you had the star of the show, then you had what they call a star Americain, who was just like second part, and then you had maybe a musician or a magic show, you know, of these people who do acrobatic, with extra, I don't know what you call it.
Acrobats. And
you had those, and then you had dancers, and then you had nude dancers, and then you had nudes. And then you had us. We were 2 black boys. So we were in no category. We were like, we don't know what we are, you know, we just working here.
You kept your clothes on?
No, we were always naked.
You were nudes.
Yeah, but we weren't in the category. We were all by ourselves. They had nothing to say we were with this group, we were with that group. We were just 2 black boys. We had little dance numbers, we had little things. We were in everything. We had like 50 changes. You run off the stage, change, and run around and change. And it was like, you learn how to change clothes real fast. But we never had anything to do really important. So anyway, I stayed there because once you're in there, you can't get out. I mean, if you know what I mean, you're making 42 francs a night. By the time the end of the month, you owe everybody all the money that you make. So you can't accumulate any money. You're trapped.
You owed people the money because the way they paid you, or
because you didn't make enough money to get through the whole month. So there was a little lady they called Doudous. You know what that means? Doudous is like sweetie pie or something like that. She was the concierge, and she used to cook for all the dancers. You know, like you could go and buy a meal there, supposedly inexpensive, and you have your drinks and all that. But you make credit. So she would take your check at the end of the month. You ate every night. You used to eat every night. And if you didn't eat, she would charge you anyway because you should have ate, you know, because she was like, I know you ate. I said, no, I didn't. So it was always a battle between her. So she took all your money. So whatever you had left, you know, it was like, you could just trapped. You couldn't. So we used to do television shows though, every once in a while. In Paris at that time, they had a lot of variety shows on television. So you could, if you knew a choreographer, he would call you and you could do a television show. You had at least once a month, I used to do television.
So they call you for daytime?
For daytime, you would go and then come back and do your show at night. But they weren't live things. They were like film, tape. And this is at the beginning of television, huh? Almost in Paris, it was like the beginning. They had one room somewhere, you know.
So it was black and white.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, it was. And under very bad conditions. So, and then it would take like 3 months to get paid.
So what are some of the television shows you were on?
Oh, God, in those days, let me think. There was, well, this goes a little later on, but I can't remember all the variety shows.
Nothing that
Not
jumped out as
then,
something that was-
not.
yeah.
But later on, I can tell you things that I did. But we were always doing television shows. Oh, I did a show with Michel Colombe. He's very well known in America now, and he's a choreographer. It's called Shaka. It was from Senghor, poems from Senghor, that we did a ballet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's where I met Sylvia Waters. Sylvia Waters is the directress of Alvin Ailey Dance School now, the second company.
She was a performer, or
She was performing.
Uh,
She was in Paris, and she was on the, like me, we were in the same show, and we met. And anyway, so I stayed at the Foley Bergère 5 years. And it was
how was
hard
the relationship?
with,
Your personal relationship that you came back for? It's
oh, that,
existed,
by then
or was
it had,
fizzled out.
it had kind of, it was still going on, but it had fizzled out, because I wouldn't take certain
Yeah.
things, so it
So
was,
you were really becoming
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And was living in hotels and back and forth, maybe back in the hotel. And we had an apartment here, and then it was. When I think back on that, it was miserable.
And one of the most fun times
when you're
in
20,
your life,
when you're
though.
20 years old, you're just unhappy and you have no money.
But you're in Paris.
Yeah, you're working every night.
I'm trying to find a silver lining.
Well, and I hadn't been home in 5 years either. So anyway, about this time in '68, when they had a revolution. You remember
Yeah, student revolution.
the student? Yeah. So I was living Monsieur Le Prince, right in the heart of it,
Wow.
and I was still at the Foley Bergère, and I didn't even know what was going on. And I would come out of my apartment and see all these people running down the streets, and I had to just run with them because they stampede. I had to join the herd. So then I started understanding what was going on, and we occupied the Foley Bergère. We took it over, all the dancers. That's when I found out that I was in no group, because they said now all the people who wanted raise more money, like dancers, where they stuck together, they want more money, dancers, and so who were we? We weren't dancers, so we asked for more money. They didn't want to give us, but we just two.
You guys can't stop the show.
So I told them, well, I am not coming back. By this time, I had saved a little money, and I had some things going on, and I just quit. I didn't go back. They didn't want to give me any more money. So I just said, they said, well, you have a contract. And I said, well, I'm sorry. Sue me.
For the little no money I have.
Yeah. So I didn't go back. At that time, things started happening. I met Lester Wilson. Lester Wilson is a choreographer. He's now dead, but he was working at the Olympia with Liza Minnelli in the show, and he was a dancer, but he had a group of people that he choreographed a number for. And Sylvia Waters said, I want you to meet someone. And she took me over to meet him, and we became the best of friends. And he started doing shows in Germany for television. And so he asked me to come and do some shows with him. So I started doing, I didn't go back to the Foley Bergère anymore. And that started a whole nother thing for me.
So you were going to Germany?
Yeah, to Munich.
To Munich, okay.
Back and forth to Munich he had a series of television shows he was doing.
And this was in the '68, right after the riots?
Yeah, but this started like the early '70s. Well, I forgot, before then was the Alcazar, you know the Alcazar?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was working there as a dancer in the chorus at the Alcazar for like 6 or 7 months. When it first started, until I got pissed off too, because they didn't want to pay me either. They didn't want to pay dancers. So, you work all night, So I don't know. I stopped doing that and went with Lester to Munich.
So you lived on Rue Prince Monsieur.
Monsieur le Prince.
Monsieur le Prince, and then that's the same street Richard Wright lived on.
Yeah.
Oh, was he living over there?
No,
He was
but I had heard about it that he used to live on that street.
And also, isn't that where? Didn't James Baldwin stay at the Hotel des Écoles?
Yeah, but that wasn't on Monsieur le Prince. Well, oh, wait a minute. No. He used to be at the Montana a lot on Rue de Seine, and but he used to come to my apartment on Monsieur le Prince. James Baldwin.
So when did you meet him?
I met him when I was at the Folie Bergère.
Okay.
A very good friend, Bernard Hassel. You guys must know him. He was a dancer at the Folie Bergère with me at that time. We were the two black boys.
Oh, he was the other black dancer. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were very good friends. So he introduced me to James Baldwin. And we became friends, James Baldwin and I. And James Baldwin invited me to go to Cannes with him, with Buford Delaney. You know Buford Delaney, the painter? So and I said, oh, he's invited me to go to Cannes. How romantic and everything. So then when I got to Cannes, I realized I was a babysitter for Buford Delaney. But I love Buford, though. Buford was so fabulous, you know. So.
But this is the fascinating part for me, and I guess I got it. I have to absorb this because, you know, for me, Paris was Josephine Baker and Richard Wright and James Baldwin and Buford Delaney, and these were like people you were hanging out with.
Yeah.
How did that feel? I mean, did you?
But I was.
But
James Baldwin, of course, because I read James Baldwin when I was in high school. I was really like. It blew me sick. Oh no, man! I can't speak French and English. I'm trying to just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then he was giving me a lot of attention, so that was really like.
You were special.
Yeah. So and Buford was just a man who would tell stories, and I would just be fascinated by his paintings and him and everything. But Buford, I used to see Buford walking down the streets. I had a car then. He would be walking down in the middle of the night, at 2 o'clock in the morning. You would see Buford, and I would stop the car and say, "Buford, wait, get in this car. I'll take you home." You know, he would just be out wandering around at night.
Is that when he would start to paint, or?
No, well, I think so. He probably would take a break, or but he drank too a lot. So you know, we used to worry about him, you know, being out at night. But so when I would see him, I would pick. And it's funny because in those days, it wasn't as much traffic or anything. You could see people walking down the streets at night.
You can own a car.
Yeah.
Be okay with it.
He could park. Yeah, man.
Oh, goodness. So you still lived on
Monsieur le Prince.
Monsieur le Prince in the 6 now.
Yeah.
So, and you were working at the Alcazar, which is...
was in the 6 right near where you used to live.
Right. Rue de something. I forget the name.
Rue Mazarine.
Rue Mazarine. That's right. So Chester Himes was around there, wasn't he?
I didn't know Chester Himes, though. No.
So the circle you were in with James Baldwin,
and Buford, and Bernard Hassel, and
that it grew to a larger group, or did you guys tend to be like a little niche that kind of always hung together?
I think it was more like a little niche because Bernard was always like my best friend, and Jimmy, but you know he was Bernard's best friend, and I was in the group, but you know we were mostly like that.
Yeah. So share a Baldwin story, a remembrance.
Oh. I can't share it.
Okay, well you went to Cannes.
To Cannes.
And that was for obviously film festival.
No, it was just it was like
just to hang out.
Yeah, he was just going down there. I think that's when he was started looking for a place he didn't know he wanted to live there. And he knew some people down there who invited him, more or less. And
so this is before he
went to St. Paul, yeah.
Ah, okay.
And let's see, Buford. We went down there and I met some very nice people, became my friends who lived in Ez. One was a painter, and at one night at the dinner, it was very strange. This man told me, he read my palm, and he said, "You're going to meet somebody, and you're going to become very internationally known very soon." And I was like, "What is he talking about?"
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then it happened
So-
later on.
What happened?
Well, I did like Casual Fall, and it became internationally.
But how long from when he read your poem?
Oh,
to when
like
that
2
happened?
years.
So, did you think about it 2 years later?
Yeah, I still think about it.
How did it happen?
How did what?
Yeah, that you came to become, how you got into
Right.
Casual Fall.
Okay, so as I was dancing with Lester in Germany, we did, I don't know, maybe 5 shows for Bavaria Film for television, and I used to come back and forth, go back home, if we between things, like if we had maybe 2 weeks off or something like that, I would come back to Paris. And one time I was back, and I got a phone call saying, "Oh, Guy Lukes, who was a big producer for television shows, variety shows, is doing this show, and would you like to dance on this show?" It was like six of us, the 3 girls and 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, what the heck, I didn't really care, because I was just ready to go back to Germany. So I said, oh yeah, for a week, why not? And the show was live. So I don't know if I should tell, but this. Well, you can cut it.
We can cut it later.
It was the first time I had ever taken. I had never smoked grass until I was 30 years old or anything. But it was the first time I had any cocaine. Somebody said, "Here, try this." So I said, "Oh, okay." So it was during the rehearsals of this show, and I didn't feel anything. I was like, "Well, I don't feel nothing." I kept going back to the bathroom more, and I kept saying, "This is not doing nothing." We were outrageous in those days too. We used to wear a lot of jewelry. I had platform heels like this, hair like this, and jewelry everywhere. So and makeup. So when we were doing the show live, I kept doing this coke, and I was like, and I was sitting while when you're doing a show live, you have to sit around waiting a long time, they're rehearsing and stuff all day long. So I just kept putting makeup on. I was like in the mirror. Just in the mirror singing, la, la, la. So by the time the show came on, I was stoned. And I still didn't know it. And I was made up. So when we were dancing, the 3 guys and the 3 girls, I felt like I was out there by myself. I was starring. It was before a live audience. So after the show was over, I went back to my dressing room, was taking all this stuff off and everything. And somebody came back, and this man said, we're doing an audition for this show. Have you ever heard of it, like Casual Fall? I said, oh yeah, I had never heard of it. And I thought he was kind of cruising me because I had seen him before. I said, was he trying to come on, So he said, give me your phone number, I'll call you about the auditions. I said, well, I don't know. So I gave him my phone. The next day he called me and said, we have an audition, please come. So I said, okay. If they saw me like this, that's what they're looking for. I had no idea. So I put my stuff back on, took some more coke, and went to the audition. So they were like excited. Yeah, oh, it's him. So I was like, whoa. So they said, you have to sign. I said, I can't sign, I have to go to Germany. I'm going back to Germany. Oh, please. We don't start until October. We start rehearsing, and all, blah, blah, blah. And they gave me the script and everything. So that's how it started.
Wow. So you did go back to Germany.
Yeah, and then also, was it during that time? Before I had done Jesus Christ Superstar in Berlin with Lester. I was his assistant choreographer, and he did Jesus Christ Superstar. We did that for a
You
while.
performed in it?
No, I was just helping the assisting choreographer.
So during this time, you weren't just performing; you were doing choreography too.
I was just assisting him.
And
But yeah,
you'd
I
never
never
done
did.
other things.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So, but it was a big company, and he needed all the help he could. So, but you know who Lester Wilson is?
I hadn't heard of it.
Lester Wilson did. He did. Okay, his first movie was the big thing was Saturday Night Live. He choreographed it.
Really?
Yeah, and he did Sister Act.
Uh-huh.
And he did a lot. He did Solid Gold. He was the one doing all this.
Solid Gold?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and he did a lot of things. He did with in America
Yeah.
and in France.
Did he do the second? Say he did Saturday Night. Did he do the sequel?
They didn't do a sequel to Saturday Night.
Saturday Night Fever?
They didn't do a sequel to that. They did.
Yeah, don't debate me. I got them both upstairs.
Well, I guess the second one I didn't know, but I guess he did do that then. He did Sister Act, I know, but he didn't do the second one because he died by then. But another friend of ours is Michael Peters. Michael Peters was a choreographer too,
Yeah.
and he was dancing with us in Berlin and Munich. He did Beat It for Michael Jackson. He choreographed that, and he's in it also. And he did Sister Act too. He's died. He's dead too. Michael Peters. And so that's what all the people I was working with.
Because that was when AIDS was starting to hit.
Yeah.
So they died from.
No, but Michael did, but Lester didn't. He had a bad heart. He used to do so many drugs and drink a lot. He was a clown too.
How old was he when he died?
I'm not sure. Let me think.
50-ish or.
No, probably not even. Just getting to 50. Yeah, he had a bad heart. He had already had a bypass.
Wow.
So, and Michael Peters is where I got the idea for the shoes.
Oh, for LUKE Feb.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Michael, he liked to wear cute shoes, and he always bought them too small. They were tight. They're always hurting him. So he said, dance and dance and dance. As soon as he stopped dancing, he would limp off the stage. And that's how he used to limp off. Well, that's what I got that. When they told me in the play that I had to have feet, and I would say, well, that's Michael. That's how he walked.
Wow. That's one of my favorite things in that too.
Where it came from, Michael Peters.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so when you first did LUKE Feb, you did it on stage?
Yeah, 5
Okay.
years.
Okay, so this audition you had started on stage, and then how did it end up? When did it become the film? When did you?
Okay, so we started doing the play.
And about what time?
Okay,
It's around that
it's like
time.
73.
Okay.
The Casual Fall opened in, I guess it was 73, yeah. We opened at the Palais Royal to a full house, and it never stopped. It went 5 years. And during that time, I guess it must have been like 74, 75, this Italian man, producer, came and was interested in buying to make a movie. And Poirier, who wrote it, who also starred in it, thought the man was crazy. He was like, oh, this man, the sucker want to buy I'm going to sell it to him for a whole lot of money. And he thought it was, like, yeah, I'm going to get him, this. And the man bought it. And in 78, he said he was going to do it. And he asked me would I play my part, and the Siro, who was Zaza, would she play her part? And they took both of us to do the movie in Rome, where we filmed it in Rome in 78. Or was it 78? When it came out, it came out in 78, but I guess we did it. In the early part of 78, we filmed it in May, and it came out like October or something like that.
So in between that, though, between 72 and 78 was Josephine.
Yeah, okay. First, the first. Oh, and I had already previously met Josephine Baker when I was working at the Folie Bergère.
Okay.
She came a couple of times, not to see me or anything, but just be there. And And I was always, struck by the fact that Josephine Baker looked like any other person, like she just wasn't wearing any plumes or she's just an ordinary person. And, and I was, at that time I thought she was an old lady. And she was probably only about 60 years old. Mm-hmm. And wore thick glasses and just ordinary, but very sweet and very nice. And later on, when I started doing the Cage aux Folles, Andre Lavasseur, who used to make her gowns, also did the costumes for La Cage aux Folles. He did my costumes. We became friends. And she used to come to see, she came to see the Cage aux Folles 1, 2, 3 times. So I said to her, she came backstage and I said, "Are you here again?" She said, "Do you mind?" I said, No. So Lavasseur, he said, "Oh, Benny, Josephine is doing the Gala Croix Rouge in Monte Carlo when you'll be on vacation," because we opened the first year, we stopped for 3 months to take a vacation. So he said, "Would you dance in the show?" And I said, "Of course." "Oh, are you kidding?" Mm. And so we went to Monte Carlo. We rehearsed the show for like a month, I guess. We opened in August in Monte Carlo. And all the people, all the young dancers, all the people who had heard about Josephine Baker but really didn't know, they said, "What's that old lady gonna do?" When they saw her, they were like, "Oh, she's old, she can't do nothing." She used to walk in there like, and she would always bring us food, cookies and stuff like that to rehearsals. And at night, sometimes, in Monte Carlo, there were no restaurants for poor people. Mm. You had to go to
the palace.
But there ain't nothing for nobody poor. But they had one little Italian restaurant where we could go and eat cheaply. And Josephine Baker would come with us sometimes and eat spaghetti with us, She was just like that, really very, not ordinary, but
down to earth.
Yeah, down to earth. And opening night, I never will forget it. She just stood up there like arms ready and just strut. I was like, ah. Everybody was like, they could not believe it. All the kids that said, "Oh, I think she got it." And the stage was so big. It's like a football field, really, seriously. It was enormous, the stage. She would go off one side of the stage singing and go around the next side, come on the other side of the stage in another costume, singing another song. Like, so fast. Mm. She was just fabulous. And then...
So this is, I can't remember you telling me about her wanting you to walk her down some stairs.
Oh yeah, she came down the stairs and she said, "I want him, Benny, and Arthur." We were 2 black guys. She said, "I want them to hold my hand when I'm coming down these stairs because I know they won't let me fall." Yeah, she was right, because we would never let Miss Baker fall. She was incredible.
Wow. So that was 74 then, right?
I'm trying to remember. It was 73 or 4.
Well, how much time was between that and then when she passed? In
Well,
she died in April of 75.
She bought, 74 then.
Yeah, okay.
Because then they bought it to the Bobino, the same show. But I had to go back to the Cage aux Folles, so I wasn't able to do the show in Bobino. Mm. But I went to see it.
Yeah.
And this lady had the people were screaming, because the French hadn't been nice to Josephine Baker. They hadn't been really nice. Mm. They treated her really badly, but
when she was near the end, or just
near the end, yeah. Before she did Monte Carlo, they had threw her out of her. The Milan. What do you call it, Milan? Mm-hmm. There's a photo. That photo with her sitting on the stoop in her nightgown. Yeah. But the French were really mean to her. But then they said she was extravagant. She spent money she didn't have, and their taxes and all that, so they threw her out. But they had to be that nasty. So, from what I gathered, Grace Kelly said, "Fuck the French, come on, baby, come with me." And she took her to Monte Carlo and set her up. And gave her the Red Cross Gala and all that. So they were all there for the opening nights.
Just think though, if Grace Kelly hadn't done that for her. She would have ended up dying without
Probably penniless, yeah.
penniless and in obscurity.
Yeah, because the French, they didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
So, what was it like to see the show at the Bambino after being in it?
Yeah, I was kind of,
Bambino,
yeah,
after being in it.
I was kind of, you know, like, not jealous, but I was like, oh, I should be here. But the standing ovation, I'm not lying, people were screaming for more and more and more. And they had put her, these people who had put her down, they saw her back again, they were like, oh.
We would have paid your rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, but that was incredible because she had made these beautiful posters. You know that famous poster with behind the fountain where she's like this and this body suit? That was done in Monte Carlo, that photo, right after her performance. And it was all over Paris. And after she died, there was still, you know, remnants of her. She stayed up on the walls for months after she was dead. I thought that was beautiful. She was still alive.
She's still alive.
And her funeral at the Madeleine was just incredible. I mean, people were backed up to the Place La Concorde.
After she died, were there any like shows that paid tribute to her? Or was it like, oh, that was really a great funeral, next?
No. The only tribute that I know of since then was when the sisters did this thing at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées.
I don't know if it was
With her
sisters.
costume, weren't you there?
We were there.
Well, I think that's the only thing that I remember after that. Up to
That was
then,
years
I
later.
know. But I don't remember anything else.
There were no like Josephine wannabes that popped up.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who wanted to be. They did a movie, and Angela Bassett did, no?
Well,
No,
that's still-
not Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
That other girl.
Yeah. But that was still 20, 30
I
years.
know, but there was nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, like she was just forgotten again. Huh? But now everybody's talking about her again.
Well, this is her 100th year. She'd be 100 years old in 06.
And I don't know what Jean Paul Baker.
Yeah.
He's never forgotten. He's always been doing things.
Did you know any of the kids?
I
Did
knew
you-
him.
Just him.
I met him in Berlin because he had a club in Berlin when we were doing Jesus Christ Superstar. He had a bar.
Was it named after Joseph?
No,
One in New York?
it was called the Set. No, what was Pims or something like that. And but
Was he associating his relationship with her, or was he kind of being low key? Or
well, I think he didn't talk about her that much then.
At all?
I mean, not to the people in Berlin, but I mean, not that I know of. The bar was just a bar, and it wasn't associated with La Baker.
Okay, it's like the place in New York.
I know it's Chez Josephine.
Yeah, right, it's Shade, and it's like you come because it's associated and
Yeah.
it's her son. It's like
Have you
it's
been
split
there?
off of it. I have not.
Yeah, I haven't
I'm
either.
gonna go in August. I'll see it.
Yeah.
But I'm just, so Josephine kind of was here and forgotten, and once she died. But now, where is
The
this is
children-
1975? When did Jimmy Baldwin die?
I think,
He was like in the 80s, or
yeah, and later on.
so about this time.
It must have been like 85 or something like that.
So he was still like in St. Paul
Yeah.
and coming to Paris.
Hmm.
What was his reaction, if you know? To her
I
death, or-
don't know what his reaction is. I don't remember.
So it wasn't like, like we can all talk about where we were when Martin Luther King
Yeah.
was killed, and we know how we were feeling, but there was no emotional
I don't remember that then from Jimmy,
from anybody. Can
Just
you
from-
remember just people who, it just seems to me that a woman of that grandeur dies, and it's.
But I remember that people like Bernard Hassel and me and other people like that. But I don't know, the general public.
Well, what did Bernard say? I mean,
Oh, Bernard was devastated. He loved Josephine Baker. Yeah, because he grew up with her like I did. Because the first time I saw Josephine Baker, I must have been 7, 8 years old, and I remember her coming to Los Angeles in all these fantastic costumes and everything. And that was like this black lady living in Paris. Like, and then to meet her, I was not disappointed, but it was not like I had imagined. You know, you think of her like,
The queen.
yeah, you know, you could just be ordinary, you know.
Yeah. But Bernard, well, he's a dancer, so.
Yeah.
And did he ever dance with her like you had?
No. No, he had never danced with her. But Bernard, he knew everybody. He knew Richard Wright. He knew all those people, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you said you never met Chester Hines
No.
when he was here.
No, I never met him.
Yeah. What about? But Richard Wright, you knew.
No, I mean I knew of, but I never
knew
met
of
him.
him,
And
yeah.
Van Peebles and all those, they had kind of just left Paris.
Mm. See, I find that interesting. It's like you got here when there was this wave of folks
Yeah.
leaving Paris.
Yeah, they were leaving.
Right.
Jimmy was getting. That's when he decided he was going back to New York also, because he went back a lot then. But then finally he just decided to stay in St. Paul. But he went back, I guess. It must have been in the 60s. I think he went back thinking he was going to stay there.
He went to San Francisco then, you know. Yeah, they have footage of him in San Francisco going through the Fillmore where you used to live, talking about Negro removal, you know, and how they were changing that whole neighborhood. So that must be when he came back to the
Yeah, because
States.
he was there during all those marches too with Martin
Yeah.
Luther King and all that. He was there.
So now Josephine dies in 75.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still doing
La Cage aux Folles, yeah, in the theater.
And then the movie comes out in
And
70.
we're still doing the
you're
play.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
You were young, lots of energy.
Yeah. But during the time of the filming of the play, I don't remember, was I replaced or they stopped the show?
I'm sure they stopped the show.
No, I think I was replaced by Bobby Etienne, but that's not important.
I'll ask another time.
So anyway, the play we were like, God, will we ever stop doing this play? It was like going on the 5th year, you know. So it was like 73 until 1980. In 1980, I said, I have to stop this. I don't want to do this anymore. But we had done 2 films by then. Let's see, 76 and 78, I think we did the 2 films.
It was 2
3.
parts. It was 3 parts to it. I never knew
I
that.
know, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But the first one was the original, and then the second one wasn't so bad. The third one was like,
You were in all 3.
yeah, but less and less to do in each one. Because I think what happened was nobody knew that I would have such a success in the first one. So I got away. In the second one, they said, he's not doing this again. So they they cut it.
He stole our movie the first
Yeah. Who would have thunk it? So the second one, they said, So when I went to complain about it to everybody, they said, it's not my fault. It's not me. Because I was like, oh, I would think you would give me more to do now. No. So anyway, one day, I received a phone call saying, guess what? They're opening a club in New York called La Cage aux Folles. And they want you to be there. Would you mind? I said, oh, no. So I had no contract or anything. They just met me at the airport in a Rolls Royce, took me to St. Regis Hotel, put me in, and they asked me to come to the opening night. I just go with anybody who I wanted to have dinner, because it was a supper club where they had a drag show. And at the end of the evening, they would say, and ladies and gentlemen, we have in the audience Jack Up from La Cage aux Folles. I would stand up, take a bow, and that would be it. And they paid me weekly. And I could bring anybody to dinner and drink, eat, everything I wanted. And if I didn't feel like going, I didn't go.
Oh, wow.
So I did that 3 months in New York.
And they were paying your expenses
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah. So the club was a success, I guess, and they said, well, we're going to open another one in Los Angeles. But this time you have to work. So would you like to do it? And I said, of course. So I went to Los Angeles, where I was very pleased to go there to do this, to open this club in Hollywood. I organized the whole thing with the company, the show, choreographed the show, put it all together, helped with everything, and they opened. And it was a big success.
I bet your uncles were happy to see
My
you.
aunts and uncles, and I had my cousin, my nephew, working in there. He was a waiter, and it was a really nice experience. I stayed there 6 months, but I had to leave because working with travesties, drag queens, is a job because they're all stars. Because, Liza Minnelli thinks she really is Liza Minnelli. They really believe they are these people. And they can be really bitchy.
So this is 9 months, basically.
Yeah.
3 months in New York?
Yeah, but I thought I was going home to stay.
Huh.
I was going to go back to Los Angeles and, go home.
So what did it feel like? Because now this is back in the States.
This is 1980.
Living here in the States for the first time in...
Yeah, 20 years, yeah.
Okay, what was it like?
At first, it was really nice because I could be close to my family. I could, call up my sister and say, I'll be over in a minute, or my cousins and aunts and uncles and all that. But then, like I said, these people were really busy, and I was trying to break into Hollywood, and then I had to go to auditions, and they were like, well, what are we going to do with him? Nobody knew what to do. And there was a lot of drugs that, just kind of scared me. And it was easy.
But you're also like coming from French culture.
Yeah.
And going back into American
yeah.
culture.
So it was a shock, a little bit. And one day, just what happened was, I said, sure would like to have some oysters. So where can I get that? Paris. Because I went to a couple of places there, and I felt like they were giving me oysters that had been in a jar, and they just put them on the shell. And they were like warm and nasty and
You were used to eating
fresh,
very good food.
Yeah. So, but then, so I got a phone call, another one, saying, guess they're doing a casual fall in Belgium, and they want you.
The same club.
No, this is a play.
Oh, they're doing the play. Okay.
In Brussels, in the Théâtre Royal, and they want you to do Jack Up. So I packed my bags and went to Brussels, where I played La Cage aux Folles for 3 months. And right after that, they did a tour of La Cage aux Folles in Paris, in France. And I was the only original person in the cast.
So were you the diva?
Well, not really, but...
But they treated you, you were really the star. You were the weight of this because you were the original, right?
Yeah. I was the only original one, yeah. No, it was another
Did you
person.
have a big dressing room?
No, I always had a second part. No, I didn't have a big dressing room either. I was never the star. I never behaved like that.
So you stayed modest through all of this.
Yeah.
That was pretty hard, Benny.
No, it's just my nature. I'm just modest.
A lot of people, here you are, you wanted to be an actor from a little kid. You got it.
Yeah.
The international fame. And you couldn't deal with people who were divas. But you had every right to be.
I know, but I'm not.
No, you're not.
No.
Yeah. So is that kind of why you never really pursued?
No, because after a while I got kind of fed up, and I'm not too good at auditions, and so I mess up, don't do it right. It's embarrassing, and so I said, well, I just won't do this anymore. I just do something else. So, after the tour was over with and everything in France, this is now 85, and I did the last La Cage aux Folles in Rome, and I came back to Paris, and someone asked me to do a Woody Allen play with Pierre Richard. I don't know if he's an actor. You know Pierre Richard? He's a French actor, and a guy named Rufus at the Théâtre Porte Saint-Martin. And I did this play for 3 months, which was all right, but it was not a great play or anything.
In Paris?
In Paris, at the Théâtre Porte Saint-Martin.
What was it called?
Dear Shakespeare et moi.
Oh, right. And it was written by
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm. God, Shakespeare, and me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Woody Allen is all about him. Yeah. So this guy, Pierre Richard, was like that. You know, he thinks he's Woody Allen. He thinks he's the French Woody Allen. So anyway, after that, Dee Dee Bridgewater was doing Lady Day, and she had someone else doing the part that she didn't like this person, so she asked me would I do the part of just a role in her. It's almost a one-lady show. Mm-hmm. She's talking about her past, and she has the musicians playing the music for her in the background. Mm-hmm. So I was one of her. I was a guitar player, but I was playing. What was his name? A friend of hers that remembered her past, and I would say things about, oh, we remember when you did, you were doing this and doing that, which was a great play. Mm-hmm. She was fabulous, Dee Dee, and she didn't speak any French at the time. She learned it phonetically. Wow. And she knew her whole role, and she didn't speak French.
And she did the whole role in French?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now she speaks French like yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So how long did that last?
I think we did it about 3 months. And after that, I was in another company with this guy, one-man show. We were 2 guys with him, behind him, backing him. And one day I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't want to do this. I left. I just left the theater.
You looked in your own eyes
and
saw the truth.
Yeah. So then, I don't know, I wasn't doing anything really, and Maria Haynes, one day she said, when she found out who I was for Cage aux Folles, she was really like, huh? So I used to go there because of a friend of mine, Philip Jackson. I don't know Philip Jackson.
Yeah, he worked in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, he didn't work in the kitchen, he worked in the bar.
Oh, was he the bar? Okay.
He was a beautiful man, young man, handsome. He looked like...
He did the cigarette commercial.
That's right, he was a mannequin.
Yeah, I met and talked to his mother.
Okay, he lived in San Francisco, right. And we grew up together more or less. Yeah, he's from Bayview, that's right. And so I used to go and see him there. And we'd hang out, and then Maria said, you want to work here? To me, and I said, oh, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. So then I started working for her.
And Phil died, right?
Yeah, just recently, not too long ago.
Yeah.
He had lung cancer.
He was the cool cigarette man or something?
He didn't smoke cool, but...
Yeah, but I mean, he was the model for
yeah.
Yeah, that was what he did here, as I recall.
No, but he did a lot of things.
Yeah, but I remember when I met him, that's one thing he was
not
telling
cool.
me about. I don't remember if it was cool. I thought he told me cool, but, you know.
I can't remember, but he did a lot of things. And his career was getting back on when he died, yeah.
And I met him in 1999 when I met you. So,
okay, he was...
So it's like 85 you started going there?
No, 90, 92, something like that.
So you were living back in Paris, and you've been on Just You in the 5th, you've been in the 6th.
Yeah, I've lived in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the other streets?
I lived in the 16th.
On Avenue Foch?
Yeah, but that was when I was first, but I lived at the 16th later on, and I lived where else I lived.
What was your favorite part of Paris?
When I lived in Monsieur le Prince. I loved that apartment. I should have bought it, but I didn't. I was stupid.
How close were you to Saint-Germain?
Just
Right there.
The 10 minutes by foot. You know, Odeon was right down the street.
Yeah. So you live closer to Saint Michel side?
I lived between Odeon and Saint Michel.
Okay. And that was your favorite night?
Yeah, I loved it. Loved it there. I didn't want to leave, but I had to, you know, so. But that's when I decided, they gave me they said, you want to buy this apartment or you have to leave? So I said, well, I might as well just go on back to the States. That's why I went back in 80.
Ah, okay.
I didn't buy
So how
it.
long did you live there?
In the States?
No,
10 years. Yeah.
Sorry. We need another plaque over there. I know you're modest, but we got the plaque over there saying Richard Wright lived here all these years. We need to say Bennie Luke, Jacob.
But you know, what's his name was here the other night, who does the party on Friday nights?
Thomas?
The black guy, Tanny.
Yeah.
He said to me the other night, he said, you know, you don't remember when I came to your apartment on Mr. the Prince.
Huh?
Everybody used to come there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everybody. I used to have parties. Talk about you have parties. Used to party down. Party down. I have photos. Well, I don't have them with me, but with my mother and James Baldwin and Bernard, we are sitting at my dinner table on Mr. the Prince, eating.
You have some great photos.
I have a lot of
You
things.
have a lot of photos because you had that wonderful photo of you behind Josephine Baker in that Monaco show.
It's just a small photo, you know. It's like you can't really see it's me.
I can see it's you. I blew it up on my computer.
You blew it up because you didn't.
Yeah. Remember you had it at Bojangles, which we'll get to. And you had it sitting on the bar, so I took a photo of it with my camera and I put it on my computer and I can blow it up.
Oh, really?
See that?
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'll show it to
Okay,
you.
yeah.
So, but now you're at Haynes, 92 to like, well, I know.
Well, off and on,
99,
yeah,
because
until
when
off
I
and
met
on,
you,
yeah.
You know, and then was Sharon working there?
No, Sharon used to come there because her boyfriend would work at night and they lived in the banlieue. So Sharon would come in and kind of wait for him and hang out with me. So she had, you know, while he was in, you know, she had nothing else to do. So we started talking, you know, and she said she was writing cookbooks and she would like really to do something, and we kept talking and we said, well, what should we do? You know, then we said, let's do a soul on Sunday. So we had this idea to do a gospel brunch on Sunday. And so I asked Maria, how about, because I was always asking Maria to do something on Sundays, but she never wanted to do it because it was her only day off and she didn't want to work. So then I said, well, we got Sharon, so you don't have to work, just let us have the place. Maria didn't want to do it. She didn't like Sharon because she thought we were plotting against her. Well, which we were not, but.
It ended up, that's what happens. That's what paranoia breeds.
Yeah. So finally I convinced Maria. She said, okay, but you have to pay. And you have to put everything back like it was, you know, if you, so we said, okay, that's all right. So we paid her, but we ended up paying her a lot of money and we weren't making no money. So, and then we had to be up Saturday morning to prepare everything, go shopping, to buy all the stuff, to prepare it at night, and it start all day. Sunday, you start early in the morning, and every week.
So you had that experience and still decided to open a restaurant.
So then Maria said one day, well, she was trying to make excuses for us. She didn't want us there anyway. We were paying her, but then she said, I don't want you here at all. Get out. Just go. So we said, okay, we won't do it here anymore. So then we started thinking about opening a restaurant. So we started looking for places. And we looked and looked and looked, and then we found this place on Rue Rodier, which wanted a whole lot of money too. And it was not a really good neighborhood, I don't think. It was residential. I don't know. It was they didn't want any noise, so we opened anyway, and you know what happened.
Well, you opened in February of 2001, right?
Yes.
So, as I understand it, was like just as you were starting to get a following, 911 happened.
That's exactly what happened. You know, it was really funny because we were doing really good the first couple of months, and then the vacation came. I even went home on vacation and came back, and that's when it happened, 911, and that's when everything just fell apart. No Americans were traveling anymore. They didn't want us to have music. People would call and say, who's the performing tonight? We said, well, nobody. we start opening just on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And music was from 9 to 11, but people still complain.
Yeah, I think I was there once when the police came.
They came every night.
Yeah. They came when we had the MOAD group there, museum people from San Francisco.
They came every night. And the final thing was when Stephanie had her birthday party. And that just, it was so loud. They told us, you people, you either have to stop this music or we're going to close you down. So we had to stop altogether music. And then that was.
And then you had the plumbing problems and all of that.
This what?
The plumbing, the ceiling and the...
That was happening almost from the beginning.
And you were trying to soundproof.
Yeah.
Because I was at Bojangles in April of 01. They did the film Bojangles, and then we all came over.
Right.
And it was, you knew it was going to be the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because first place I came when I got to Paris.
Yeah, but it should have been. It should have been, but we didn't have enough money either.
But it was such a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
You guys created such a great,
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you, when you started working at Haynes, it was after Leroy Haynes had died.
Oh, yes.
Did you know him?
Oh, yeah, I knew Leroy Haynes.
Did you?
And as a matter of fact, he was always there. When I first started coming to Paris, he was there. And not a lot, but I used to go there to dinner sometimes. I went even with James Baldwin to dinner. But I didn't go that often, because I was working always at night. But I had been there before. Yeah, I knew him.
I understand he was an actor. Was he an actor?
Yeah, well, he was a character. He went to Morehouse. He was a wrestler, football or something. He was a champion, and then he joined the army and came to Paris during the
World War
II. And he stayed like a lot of GIs did, and they went to school or to stay, to get a GI Bill, to get money to stay. And then since there were so many blacks and they were all more or less up in Pigalle, he decided to open a restaurant where they could go and have something to eat. So that's how and then people started asking him to do bits in movies. So he was always, out there. People asking him to do this part in the movie, and he had always did the movies, cameos.
So I think we were talking about it the other day, something about Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, because I thought he acted with them.
No, they were in Rome doing the shooting of Cleopatra. And somehow they came to Paris and came to Haynes, and they loved it so much that when they were in Rome, they used to send people to Paris to bring them some food back. So they became good friends with Haynes. That's why this big photo of them is in the restaurant.
Who were some of the other photos? Do you remember that they...
Oh, God, you had... I would have to be there to see them, but everybody was in on the walls. People, Nina Simone had been there, and
who do you remember seeing? I mean, because you used to go there.
No, but I know.
You never was there when it was.
No.
I want to just pause for a minute. I think we're losing some of our light here. I just want to stop for a second and.
Oh yeah, what were we talking about, Haynes? Photos and everything, but.
Well, people you saw.
People that you may have seen when you were there.
Oh, actually, I didn't see any. I never.
You were never in there when.
No, and while I was working there, no one came either because it was already on his last foot.
Yeah. So kind of after he passed, Because he, as I recall, when I was there in '99, he had been gone for.
He died in '85, I think he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
They were saying about 12 or so years.
And after that, she didn't really try to do anything to make it better, except hire me.
Well, that was good.
And
Philip was always there.
No, Philip had only been working there like maybe a couple of months before I started.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah, but then you were talking about Bojangles.
Yes, so we were
Right.
doing, Sharon and I, we decided we would open this place at Bojangles, so we did that, and we did speak of that.
Yeah, we did. Because it was coming to a close,
Yeah.
actually. So it 2001, it was open, 911,
We closed in 2002.
and yeah,
Yes, at the beginning of February 2002.
How long did you have it open?
2 years?
that's not
Okay, so it was
2003.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I know I brought the group.
Yeah, well, okay, we lasted 2 years.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But it was a great place to go because
Well, we
I
had.
used to walk in there and
What-
my first day here and just sit there.
That's what I mean. You could.
And-
Women was a good thing for women who could be alone and not be bothered, not be worried about being harassed or anything.
And you run into somebody
Who
like
knew
Valerie,
somebody,
or somebody you hadn't seen since the last time you were there.
Yeah, that
and
was
you made
good.
It
Yeah.
was very homey like that.
Yeah, and we used to have people like Thomas come over and sing, and people would just drop
You know,
in.
Thomas sings.
Oh, he has a fabulous voice.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Ah,
He does good things. He would come over and sing, and then we'd have Rasul and
Russell.
Sylvia and all those people. It was really nice. We had a good time. And I wish we could do it again.
Me too.
I've never heard
will.
Thomas sing either. He has a fantastic voice.
Yes.
I didn't know
He told me he was a singer at the
Oh,
time.
yes, he did. Oh, Tom, you already know Thomas sing. Oh, yeah.
Thomas is a bit of a mystery to me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, how are you? What you been doing? Oh, working a little
But
bit,
you know,
a little
Thomas,
back.
he's kind of stays to himself. He works hard. He just a lot of movies. He does a lot of things,
Wow.
but he can sing. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Did you have more questions about Baldwin? You said you wanted.
Yeah. Where were we?
Oh, you asked me about a clique of people. I met Maya Angelou
Yes.
through Jimmy, and we were all in New York at one time. And I met Maya and her mother.
You met Maya in New York?
Was it in New York I met her? Or was it Paris? It was New York.
That was going to ask you also about Toni Morrison. Because she used to go to St. Paul de Vence to write. Did you?
I never,
there?
no, I didn't, but I used to always hear about her from Bernard. He has a beautiful painting of her, Toni Morrison. He had Bernard, but
What do you think happened to it?
I don't know. Probably like everything else in that place.
What? Oh,
Yeah,
it was there.
And we don't. I don't know what happened to that house in St. Paul. I have no idea. Like maybe it was like 3 years ago. I was in the south of France, and I said, let me go by the old house to see if David Baldwin, how he was. How was David? I haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. And I went to the house and I looked in, and it looked like it was deserted, but squatters or something. So I went into town where I knew they knew David and asked, did anybody know where David was? And they said, do you know David passed away? He died like in May or something, and I was down there like August.
Oh wow, you were feeling his
Yeah,
spirit.
so and since then I don't know what happened.
I thought you told me a sister.
Yeah, Gloria, but
Gloria.
I don't know her last. She has another name, not Baldwin, and I can't remember the name. And she's in control of
Of
the estate.
Of his estate.
Yeah.
It's probably researchable that way.
She has.
I want to ask, not to interrupt, when actually did you meet James Baldwin?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there had maybe it was like 65, 66.
When you were at the Follies.
Yeah.
Because he was coming in, because...
He had been just coming back from America, I think, then.
But also the other guy,
Bernard Hassel.
Bernard was dancing with you.
Yes, and,
Yeah.
and we used to hang out at night after after the performance, have a drink and hang out, and that's what I met Jimmy.
So, did you read his books after that? I mean, I'm sure you were already reading him. But
Right. Yeah, of course. But the one that I read when I was very young was Giovanni's Room.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, the place we used to hang out was the place that he wrote about.
On Saint Germain, or what?
It was in Saint Germain, yeah. It was called the Fiacre, and it was about this place, Giovanni's Room.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to hang out there.
So I'm just thinking that if I were to meet somebody like him, reading his books afterwards takes on a different.
Yeah, it did, and I mean I was overwhelmed, again, and I started reading all the other ones like Another Country, and that was new then, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was he writing when you?
I think it was Another Country he had just finished, and then I don't know what. I can't remember.
He was writing a lot of the political, like the Fire Next Time.
That's right, Fire Next Time, and his experience in Hollywood, because he went there to try to do a movie, and he wrote. What was that called?
The movie?
No, the book that he wrote about Hollywood.
So any of these as he was writing, did he ever talk about them? I mean, did you ever
Wait,
find
Bernard,
you guys are having drinks and all?
Oh yeah, but he was.
Talking about,
Yeah, but he was always very political. He was always furious with J. Edgar Hoover and the assassination of President Kennedy and Martin Luther King. He was always passionate. He was always like that, Jimmy.
and then those things came out in his writing.
Yeah.
Later.
But Jimmy would drink a lot. He would sleep the day, and then at lunchtime he would get up and have lunch, and we'd sit on the terrace talking for hours. But I can't remember all the conversations and things like that. But he was very.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's understandable, but it just seems to me just so special.
And I mean, and of course, I was always just listening. Just listening.
I can't contribute. I don't know. I'm not this bright.
I didn't know all those things.
You just sit and listen. So the welcome table, is that when you said sit down on the terrace? Because
in this place at St. Paul, you have like a house in the front, like garage guardian kind of concierge kind of apartment, and then you come in the gate, and you walk down some steps, and then it's the main house. And then to the left it was like a little terrace, but land, but it just built a little.
a little top roof.
Yeah, with a table out we just sit out there and look at the distance. You could see the ocean in the valley. It would be very pleasant, and and the garden was never manicured or anything. It was just kind of wild, but nice. And we just sit there all day.
Was there a guardian or?
But Bernard did all of this.
Oh, okay. So he kept that house.
Bernard kept everything, and he was the guardian, the secretary. He kept people out.
So was he the gatekeeper?
Yeah, and then so David was there a while too. David Baldwin, he did the same thing. They just protected Jimmy because he needed protection because he was, vulnerable.
So it was the guardian house. The main house.
Yeah.
That was it on the property.
The main house used to be this lady who had it. I mean, who owned it before Jimmy bought it. She had split it up into like 3 apartments that she used to rent out. So there were different levels. This was like this. The house there, another one here, another one down further. It was on a split.
Yeah.
Like that.
So he turned it back into one house, or he?
Yeah,
turned
one house, yeah.
So he renovated it back in.
But he didn't really, they just opened doors.
Oh, okay.
What
They
did
just
the,
opened up some
what
walls.
did the French people think of Jimmy?
Oh, they, down there, they loved him. And the French, I don't think French people really know him. But the people who, I'm not really sure if the French are familiar with James Baldwin's work. The intellectuals, but I mean, just, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of French society, he should have been pretty popular because they love to debate and dialogue about politics, and that was.
But I never remember Jimmy being on any television shows or anything like that. But down like in Saint Paul de Vence, he was a star. He was good friends, very good friends with Yves Montand and Simon Signoret, and they were always, and César, you know, César the sculptor. They were like tight buddies and all that, you know.
So it was not only him, but who he brought with him.
Yeah, and the Mac Foundation is right there. That's where I told you I met Velma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like close, you know. But Jimmy was known anyway, you know. We used to sit on the cafe floor all afternoon.
The cafe. Oh yeah, down on
Saint-Germain, yeah.
Because and then Toady used to hang out at the bookstore next door.
Who, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Well, this.
Loan or where?
Well, before he became famous, you know, he used to sit at the cafe floor and write up on the second floor all day. And he lived at the hotel around the corner, Louisiane. Oh, is it the Montana? Which one is it? There are two. One is on Rue de Seine. I confused which one is.
Louisiana's on Rue de Seine.
Okay, and Montana was, yeah, it's on Rue de Benoit. Yeah.
So he sat in Cafe de Flore and wrote.
It's like the Beauvoir and Kichi and Sartre.
And what was the guy's name? Hemingway. Didn't Hemingway?
Not there.
write
They were
Hemingway?
Montparnasse.
He was more Montparnasse.
Closer to Lee Long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was after
Didn't
he was
people
crazy.
bother- Wasn't, I mean, did he get enough privacy to actually write anything in a...
This is before I knew him, but when I met him, he was out. He wasn't doing that anymore. He was sitting on the terrace sipping. He wasn't writing
He had
anymore.
paid his dues.
But I guess in those days wasn't known, so people didn't bother him, you know. But we used to have very late lunches, you know, like 4 o'clock. You just be getting out of bed.
It was breakfast for him.
How would you sum up those years? Were they good ones?
Oh,
exciting?
they were exciting for me because it was him and because of what I was doing too.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, it was nice. Those were good days.
I mean, you were part of an incredible piece of Black history, but
Yeah.
also French history.
Yeah, because in '68 things changed
Yeah.
after that. You know, things
American
became.
history?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were part of a really very close to the fire.
Well, you know, I'm almost a century old.
Get a little bit to go. You closer to that than 50. Nobody
Yeah, so-
believes that, by the way.
I know these people, the students at the school, they just cannot
Yeah.
believe.
I think at someone I forget of the many people who I have told about you. And I said, oh, he danced behind Josephine.
That's where they go like,
He's
what?
not old enough to have done that. No. Oh, so I'm a liar. Let me go get the photo.
They're probably thinking about the 1920s.
You know, yeah.
But
when
you
she
know-
first came here, I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I would think the same thing if somebody told me that.
No, it's like you touched like these really significant moments. Did you ever see like Count Basie or any of them when they were in town?
No, but I met Count Basie in Hollywood when I was at La Cage aux Folles.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I just met him, that's all.
That's okay. Just to do that, walking Nancy Wilson and Tina Turner. For
Yeah.
me.
Tina
But-
Turner, yeah.
But I remember I've heard a lot about my mother's favorite CD is Sarah Vaughan in the City of Lights.
Oh, and I met Sarah Vaughan and hung out with Sarah Vaughan.
Oh no!
In New York, I had this friend, this girl who had been in the Lido with me, this black girl, the dancer. She knew Sarah Vaughan. So I was going to New York. My first trip to New York was coming from Paris. Can you believe that? I flew into New York. I had never seen it.
Got to your dream city by way of Paris.
Yeah.
You never thought you would
Yeah. And so she knew because she knew I was shy, like you guys know. And she said, look, I got a bottle of cognac. I want you to take to Sarah Vaughan. She was working at the Rainbow Room. So she knew that was the only way she could get me over there. So I said, okay. I took the bottle of cognac to Sarah Vaughan, and she said, oh, come on in, her dressing room. And she said, look at the show. And after the show, she took me in her limousine. We went all over New York. I can't remember all the places we went. I met Red Fox. We went to see him at some club. I don't know where we were. And then we ended up, I was living at the Waldorf Astoria. And she ended up back in my room. We sat up all night long talking and drinking.
Oh man, what was Sarah like?
But I was so high, I can't remember. But we stayed up all night talking. I know Sarah Vaughan.
Oh my God.
When
was that?
That was the first time that was like 1970. Okay. My first trip back to America since I had been in Europe. No, that can't be true. I stayed 5 years without going back.
Did you meet Mabel Mercer?
No, I didn't.
She
but I knew her from here.
You know, when you stayed at the St. Regis.
Yeah.
She had her.
She was working there.
Yeah, she had
I can't remember.
Maisonette.
Oh yeah, she Maisonette.
Yeah, it was a small room. It was like as big as this room.
Oh yeah.
And it was just so intimate and so wonderful.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But you met her in Paris?
No, I'm thinking about somebody else. May something. I can't remember her name. She's an actress.
So you met Nina Simone. Did you say you met her at Haynes or?
No, she had been there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I met Nina.
Because I'd wonder what she was like too. Because she lived in Paris. I mean in France.
She lived in Switzerland, though. Oh no, in the south of France. Yeah. But I knew people who knew her, and I used to hear things, but I never really. I almost met her in New York. At that time, I went to New York, and I met Maya Angelou and everything. I was supposed to go to a concert that she was doing with friends of hers, but somehow we got messed up, and I missed the show and missed meeting her. But yes, so it has been nice, I must say.
So you have any intention of ever living in Paris, leaving again? Or?
No, when I came back in 80, I guess it was 85, I decided I guess I just live here. I guess this is home.
Yeah, that was 22 years ago. Wow.
And I celebrated my 25th anniversary in Paris with the same girl that was the leader with me. She stayed. We both stayed. And we celebrated. We had a big party for our 25th anniversary on a peniche in Paris, which was a really knockout. She had the money, and she did this party. We had this party. We had Dee Dee singing, and it was really nice. We had
where she stayed.
She went in Chicago.
Oh.
That's where she is now. She moved back.
Really? I'll be there in March.
She bought an apartment on Lakeshore Drive.
She gives me North Lakeshore Drive, huh?
Yeah.
So, but when she stayed in Paris,
she married a Frenchman.
Oh, okay. All right. So, did you know Jackie at that time?
Jackie, the dancer.
Yeah.
No, I knew of her, but I didn't know her, and I know her now, but I didn't know her then. You know, I was always working at night. I had, that's why I never could go out, and I never could go to dinners or, because I was always in the theater. And then when I would finish, people would always be drunk and gone home. When I came out of the theater,
like, hey, let's party.
People would say, well, come over for dessert after your show. And I may get there, everybody's already passed out or gone home or whatever. So for a long time, I couldn't socialize or anything really. I couldn't go out.
And I guess everybody else being performers too. A lot of them were also working
Yeah.
at night.
So the only time we could do anything was a Monday night because it was a dark night. So I used to do little dinner parties sometime on a Monday night, you know.
That's when you threw your famous parties.
Yeah, on the Monday nights. and then even working in the restaurants, I could never go out either.
Yes.
But I didn't miss it there because you meet so many people in a restaurant, so many different people coming in and out.
So you have, I remember when we talked about trying to open a place, one of the things was because you have this phone book. It's like when people hit Paris, they call you.
Yeah, it used to be worse. I mean, worse. It used to be more people.
Mm-hmm.
But